Welcome to Unit 2, Hello World, with me, Professor Neil, and my TA, Younghee.
Hello, this is Tia Younghee. Today's topic is hardware.
Hardware, yes, Younghee. So, hardware is all the physical components related to computing.
Physical.
So they're meaning the things you can touch.
I can touch, I can see.
Yes. So that is hardware. If you can touch it, it is hardware. Right, and the software is used to program the hardware and connect it all together.
Interesting.
Last week, we learnt about the computer, and a few weeks back, I think. And this was one of the homework to fill in the chart for the computer hardware.
Professor Neil, these are all touchable, so they are all hardware?
They are all hardware if you can touch them, yes. So the screen, the keyboard, the speaker, the CD drive, and so on are all hardware. And we're going to look at that in more depth in this unit. So without further ado, let's go to the warm-up.
Warming up. It's a good idea. It's getting colder these days.
Yes. So we're warming up with some questions. So Younghee, are you ready to go through the warm-up questions?
We always have questions, so that's why we get brain heated up. Therefore, we get warm.
Yep, that's why we call it the warm-up.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
Oops.
So our warm-up, we have 5 devices.
5 devices.
Components. So today, a lot of focus is on the word device and the word component. We came across device last time, but we're also going to include the word component today. And we're also focusing on the do verb as well.
Do verb.
Yes.
So last time, previous unit, we learned the be verb.
Which is the is.
Yeah, linking subjects and the object.
Yes.
Things. But today, on unit 2 of hardware, we learn do verb.
Do verb. And so we're also looking at verbs that have action. So here, the question would be, what is the device? And you might answer, the first device is. We're also looking at first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and last. And you can see I've highlighted it in a dark orange to highlight the position in the pictures that our device takes.
Numbering order.
Numbering order.
Order of each device.
Yes, so a little bit extra vocabulary for you there. And then we say, what does it do? It action is a verb. So here we are looking to learn some more action verbs and then combining them with extra information about the device.
The action verb here is do.
Yes.
So what do we do with these devices from first, second, third, fourth, and fifth and last?
Yes. So let's look at the first device up on the board. I think we're going to put it on the board for this one.
Let me check. First, second.
So here we are.
Ooh.
Younghee, what is the device?
It is a laptop computer.
Very good. All right, and what does it do?
It runs software.
Yeah, so notice how we've gone from the do verb to a action verb here, run.
Here, run means operate.
Operates.
It operates software.
Yeah, so we use actions from the real world to describe actions of computers in the virtual world and how these hardware function. So let's look at another one. As Younghee puts back her glasses. What is the second device?
I remember this. It is a controller.
Very nice. And what does it do?
It controls the game characters.
Very nice. So again, the main verb here switches to controls. Controls.
So do becomes more specific action verb
So yes.
of acting. Controls.
So we're building up explanations, details, and definitions about our devices and components.
Let me write
What
down.
is the third device?
This one looks like camcorder. So it is a camcorder.
Very nice. It is a camcorder. And what does it do?
It records movies.
Yes. The devices do more than just this, but we are trying to keep things simple and show an action with extra information.
Professor Neil, is a camcorder is a combined word between camera and recorder?
Yes. So it's a
Ooh.
camera that records movies.
Camera that records is called camcorder.
Yes. What is the fourth device?
This one looks like a stopwatch. So it is a stopwatch.
And what does it do?
It records time.
Oh, yes. Or it measures time. Very good.
It measures time.
So what is the last device?
The last device, that one looked like a semiconductor.
Oh, well, okay. That's one option, yes.
Or microprocessor.
Microprocessor. Very good, Yongi. And what does it do?
It runs.
Processes.
It processes the program
or
data.
Data. That's good.
So this one is, let me double check. Oh yes, one very high ability semiconductor is microprocessor at the same time.
Okay.
So this is a microprocessor and it processes data.
That's wonderful, Yonghee. Yes. So we've been through the vocabulary there. Pay attention to how the questions work to describe the action of the devices. And notice you don't have to, in the answer, you don't always need do, but in the question, quite often you need to use the do verb. That's where it's most commonly used. But we also demonstrate in the dialogue other ways to use do. So here we have another dialogue. Dialogue 2.1. And that means we are going to go to the office. At the office with John and Hedy, and they are talking about hardware today.
We're gonna meet John and Hedy again.
Yes, so let's go over and meet John and Hedy in the office.
Good.
So listen to the dialogue, and they will fill in the gaps with the handout. Morning, Hedy. What are you doing?
Morning, John. I'm trying to save a video file on my laptop.
Do you have a problem?
Yes. It says I don't have enough memory.
You need to free up some space.
Good idea. Let me delete some old files.
Oh, did that work?
Oh, yes. It is now saving the file.
Computers are sensitive devices.
Yes. I do need to be nice to my PC. Oh, no.
Thank you, John and Hedy. So Yonghee, would you like to run through the dialogue one more time?
Always, Professor Neil.
Always.
Because you're gonna ask me questions.
Yes, questions are coming, and the questions are in the homework this time as well,
Ooh.
and in the online quiz. So it's worthwhile paying attention this time. So Yonghee, if you read Hedy, and I'll read John, okay?
Good.
All right. Morning, Hedy. What are you doing?
Morning, John. I'm trying to save a video file on my laptop.
Do you have a problem?
Yes, it says I don't have enough memory.
You need to free up some space.
Good idea. Let me delete some old files.
Did that work?
Yes, it is now saving the file.
Computers are sensitive devices.
Yes, I need to be nice to my PC.
Wonderful there. So notice the use of the word do there is mainly in the questions. And that is often its function, though we will show later it can appear in the answers too. So Yonghi, as you were expecting, 2 questions. So let's just put those up on the big screen.
Okay, let me focus. Listen carefully to the questions and answer it with the correct answer.
What did Hedy run out of?
She ran out of memory.
Very good. What does she need to do?
She needs to free up some space.
Let me just, I need to change need to the main verb. But yes, good answer, Yonghi. She needs to free up some space.
Can I also say, Professor Neil, she needs to delete some old files?
Yes.
So 2 answers possible.
Yes, there's the one from the dialogue that she mentioned she needs to delete some files, but also your answer, Yonghi, she needs to free up some space.
That's what John said.
That was his suggestion.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Good observation, Yonghi. Alright, that's the end of dialogue 2.1. Those are the questions which will appear in the homework or the online quiz. And now we're going to move on to the reading center and reading 2.1. Right, where we're going to read about the difference between a device and a component. As I said at the beginning, with hardware devices and hardware components, it is important to distinguish between a device and a component.
Okay, Professor Neil, give me a moment. I need to write down. Okay, device, and component. There are differences between these 2 words.
Very nice, Yonghi, yes. So here in the reading center, reading 2.1, you can see in green at the beginning, device. And at the end, component. So I'm going to read it to you, then Yonghi and I will have a little discussion about the difference between them. So here is my reading. A computer is a device. A computer is a collection of hardware devices. Hardware devices do 4 things: input, output, process, and store data. For example, a keyboard is a hardware device. It is a device for inputting data. A sound card is a hardware component. It is an input and output component of audio data. A component is a part of a device. So Yonghi, do you have an idea about the difference between a computer device and a computer component?
I think device is completed machine of computer part, while a component is partly necessary stuff that makes a full device.
Yes, it is confusing. It is not easy. And that's why we're going to go through a bit of practice and trying to explain it. So a device is the whole thing and a component is part of it. But it's not as simple as that. It never is. So let's ask some questions to try and get an idea.
I think I can understand it, but it's really difficult to explain it.
Yes. Yonghi, what is a computer based on reading 2.1?
Computer is a device.
Yes. And what do hardware devices do?
Professor Neil, can I go back to the reading again?
Okay, if you just have a little look.
Okay, Professor Neil, if you give me a moment, can I read this reading
Yes.
one more time to remember, to prepare for the question? A computer is a device. That's right. A computer is a collection of hardware devices. Collection of hardware devices. Hardware devices do 4 things: input, output, process, and store data. For example, a keyboard is a hardware device. It is a device for inputting data. A sound card is a hardware component. It is an input and output component. Component of audio data. A component is a part of device. Okay, Professor Neil, I think I understand.
Let's go back to the questions then. So, Youngie, what do hardware devices do?
Hardware devices have a full functions. Input, output, process, and store data.
Excellent.
Input, output, process, and store data.
Wonderful. What does a keyboard do?
Keyboard is a inputting device.
Okay, good. And what does a sound card do?
Sound card is a component that tackles both inputting and outputting audio data.
Good. And what is a component?
Component is a part of a device such as sound card or memory card or graphic card.
Very good. And we're going to go into that, continue to go into that in more detail. As I say, this is quite a comprehensive chapter compared with our previous chapters. And now, if you have the handout, you'll see there's the option. We start to look at the vocabulary now. And there is a lot of vocabulary in this unit because there's a lot of hardware.
Hardware is very, very complicated.
Yes. So
let me type in to the file. I can take it out for studying later.
So here's our hardware vocabulary you will see in the printout. There are, I think, maybe I lost count, 30 different hardware components and devices. So we got printer, microprocessor, RAM, keyboard, microphone, monitor, mouse, webcam, projector, CPU, motherboard, headphones, USB or USB stick, GPU, digital camera, trackball, network card, cache memory, CD-ROM, touchpad, GPS, global positioning system, floppy disk, joystick, graphics tablet, speaker, sound card, video card, gamepad, hard drive. Quite a lot of vocabulary to learn. But if your major is computer science, computer engineering, and so on, you're probably quite familiar with it.
Be happy about it. Be happy about learning all this vocabulary of hardware.
So as you can see, we've put the vocabulary there for you into the input device section, output device, processing device, and storage device. Though, as we said, a component can be a device can be a component, depending its position within the function of the hardware that it's involved in.
Because so many vocabulary, my glasses are moving very slowly.
So we want to match the vocabulary with definitions. Here we have 21 definitions. So that should tell you there is more definitions than there is vocabulary.
Does that mean the number of vocabulary is a higher number than the definition?
Yes. Okay. So we're going to pay attention to that. Also, notice here, there is a be verb. So as we say, all the sentences, the main verb is be. But I've highlighted in a sort of reddish colour.
Purple, they look like.
Purple, reddish colour. Words like processing, because here the verbs have taken on different functions. They are not the main verbs.
They are doing verbs.
Doing verbs. And you will notice how we use them to talk about these devices and components later on. So just pay attention to the colouring here of the main verb being in red, be verb, but also verbs that play a different part in the sentence to describe the function of the component or device. Homework there for you is to match the definition with the vocabulary.
Better write down the homework. Always very important.
And then you're going to match it with the grammar. So in the grammar this time, as we mentioned, we're dealing with the do verb. The do verb is used to ask yes/no questions, and it can act as an auxiliary verb. So bad grammar, use a computer. Good grammar, do you use a computer?
When we want to make a question sentence, we have to use auxiliary verb do before the subject.
Yes.
And then we can have a good grammar sentence.
Yeah, as I say, this unit is the beginning of this course getting more intensive. So there we go. You can see in big, large picture, the do verb is used to ask yes/no questions, and it can act as an auxiliary verb. And we're going to show that more now. Come on. So the auxiliary do, I do turn on the computer. The auxiliary do adds emphasis, meaning it makes it a stronger feeling of the sentence, or is used to make sentences negative. I don't connect the USB.
So Professor Neil, auxiliary do means it's a helping verb for the main verb.
Like the be verb.
Yeah. Earlier example is a do is used for question sentence. Here, the emphasis for the main sentence, and then do takes negative word like not.
Okay, so it can play a few roles within the verb structure within a sentence. So here, the auxiliary do and the main verb do. Using let me just pause that. I've got two usings. So using the auxiliary do and the main verb do, you can create short, simple questions about hardware to ask about what something does. So for example, what is it? It is a webcam. What does it do? It streams images in real time.
What does it do? It streams images in real time.
So as we said before, you could say it does stream images if you want to add emphasis to. So shortly, you'll get the chance to practice it in the practice section and combine it, the definitions and the grammar, to talk about hardware.
So here we have to learn how to use auxiliary do for yes/no question.
And here we are with the practice. So practice.
And we get to practice now.
Yes. So practice section A2, which is again in the handout. Description is the action a device or command does. It answers the question, what does it do? So here we've given you definitions. A microprocessor is a component for processing data. What does it do? It processes data. So you notice how you combine the definition to make the description of the action. Now I'm hoping this is clear and you can follow along.
So each word of computer device or component in this unit, practice section A-2, will be given definition of each word, and there will give us the hint of how to write the description sentence for each device or company.
Yes, so that's going to be the task. Right, before you watch video 2, before you watch part 2, is to write the descriptions. based upon the definition. So there's a bit of work for you to do before watching the second video.
So we need to do some practice.
So here's the practice. So those are the definitions. So first bit, going back, fill in the definitions. Check the vocabulary. If you find it difficult, wait for video 2, where the answers for this section will be provided. Otherwise, for now, as we say, provide a description for the hardware, devices and components. So the first 2 were done for you. A microprocessor processes data. RAM reads and changes memory. So notice back in the definition of number 2, if we go back, you can see number 2 there. RAM is a memory device that can be read and changed.
So the hint for description is on these purple words.
Yes, so if you print it in black and white, it's going to be more difficult. So if you print it in color, you have a bit of a benefit. So RAM reads and changes memory. And there you go. That's most of part 2, where you're going to have to write the descriptions. So you've got the handout. There are 21 descriptions to write. And I wish you luck with that. Do those if you can before watching the second video. For now, this is the end of video part 1 to hardware. And so we're going to sign off. And let's see, is our video coming? Yep, so that's the end of Unit 2, Hello World, Hardware. This is goodbye from me, your Professor Neil, and goodbye from my TA, Yonghee.
Ooh, it's break time. See you in part 2 of Unit 2 of Hello World. Bye for now.
Hardware. Bye.